Good morning, friends. Happy 2-year anniversary shindig today. If you didn't get coffee yet, last call, grab a cup of coffee. And we may have a little bit left afterwards, too. And I know that there's like the marathon happening today. And I feel like we gave an extra few minutes for the marathon parking, but everybody knows that's just an excuse, and I'm lying to you. We never start at 10 o'clock. I'm sorry. We're hoping with this Capricorn new moon, we'll set some intentions to start at 10 a.m., but there's no promises here, so it's probably not going to happen. But still, drop in at 10 o'clock. It's fun, and we'll get dropped in here today. The marathon's happening, so I know there's like lots of traffic and things happening. I was thinking about how in a previous life I'd use that as an analogy. Like, I was driving by the marathon today, and I thought, life's kind of like a marathon, with my best Joel Osteen smile. I won't put you through the cheesiness today, I promise. But yeah, we got a few things going on here. We'll get dropped in. It is our 2-year anniversary today, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that today, just some reflections over these past years, and kind of just give a sense for where we feel this is all going. And so really grateful that you're here with us today and dropped in. I know my fam, they're not here. They're sick. My son is coughing. Lindsay's not feeling well. That, and the third. And I'm like, man, it's like a summer day outside, and it's weird to me because I didn't grow up here that like warm weather can kind of make you get sick in the winter in San Diego, because I checked the wind chill back in Indiana and it's 5 degrees feels like temperature. I'm like, that's appropriate to be sick in that, and she's like, I don't know, I'm just not feeling good today. I got chills. I'm like, it's like 78 degrees today or something. I don't know. So anyway, that's weird. Getting used to that still a decade later. But a couple things really quick before we actually get started here this morning. And the biggest thing is that we have our retreat that's coming up at the end of next month. So we have our retreat from the 20th to 22nd, February 20th to 22nd, and that's going to be in San Marcos at Quest Haven. We had a meditation retreat there in June, a 1-day meditation retreat, and it was really great. And the biggest request is that it needs to be longer. So we made it a whole weekend. We have food. There's going to be lodging, but there's limited lodging space. And so if you want to stay on the grounds, which after all it is a retreat, man, you should want to, not to should on you, but you in my view, you'd want to take a step back from the rhythm of life, from all of the expectations, from the familiar environments and all the stuff, and put yourself in a place where you are open to really allow God to what am I trying to say? Allow God to help you understand who you are and what the heck you're doing here, So that's my question all the time, and that's our intention. We're going to be looking at what it means to live into our true self and doing some different intuitive practices, and it's going to be a really great weekend. So if you want to sign up for that, you got to go to the website, click the button. There's like a Google Docs thing. It's a little lengthy, so I've heard from people, but we kind of want to know exactly, what's going on. Where are you coming from? Like, what is your familiarity with meditation practices? We don't want to be like, you're sitting for 2 hours in silence, and you're like, I had to Google meditation. ChatGPT had to tell me what to do 15 minutes ago. So we'd like to know that ahead of time, kind of where everybody's at, so we can fine-tune things around the group that's actually going to be there. So be sure to go through that form. There's some important instructions for how to make the payment and submit the form and things of that nature. And if you have any questions, give us a call. Don't give me a call. Send me a direct message. For those of you that have my number, you can give me a call, and we'll figure it out. But it's going to be a really great weekend together. I think I'm speaking enough on that. But for this morning, we're going to set an intention to drop in together in meditation. And Lindsay's going to come and lead us through. And Jordan, would you mind to light our candles for us this morning? And as we light the candle today, this is something that we've integrated as just an act of symbolism, that we are inviting the light of God, the light from above, to shine in to our life. And so we set the light above. So I invite you in the posture of your heart to allow the light from above to shine into your life. Just invite a sense of openness, a sense of clarity, that the light brings clarity from above. That whatever may or may not be happening in our life, that we set aside this intentional moment of time for encounter with presence within. We're all coming from different places, different backgrounds, different lives and circumstances. And this is a place where we're able to just press pause for a moment. From all the expectations and assumptions of who we should be, what we should do. A moment of pause from all the shoulds. A moment of space from all the performance and the pretense and all of the stuff. A moment to encounter something real. So God, we ask that this light from above, your light, would shine, bringing illumination, enlightenment, salvation. We devote this moment of meditation to alignment with you, Spirit. Thank you for this space of intention. So be it.
So just beginning to continue closing down your eyes or just finding a soft, gentle gaze forward, whatever feels most comfortable for you, knowing that you can oscillate between the two during as well. Just become present with the sensations that you feel in your body right now. Connecting with your breath, breathing in, and letting it go. Making that conscious and intentional connection with the resource that is most available to us, which is our breath. And as you take in those inhales through the nose, really bringing awareness to how that feels filling up the lungs. Maybe holding at the top for just a few seconds, bringing stillness and pause, and letting it go slowly. Exhaling a little bit slower than your inhale. Just creating a little bit more safety with every breath for your nervous system, for your body to know that you are safe. Breathing in, holding at the top. And letting it go. And as we sit here together, just attuning to one another, holding the collective intention of creating more capacity, more space within ourselves to welcome in the divine, God's presence. Just holding that collective intention, that prayer. And just finding a normal breath pattern, whatever feels good to you. Maybe even continuing that inhale, hold at the top, and exhale if that is what your body needs. I really just take these next few moments to slow down. And just witnessing yourself in this experience. Maybe the thoughts that are ruminating in your mind. Maybe a tightness in the chest or the throat. Maybe just intentionally softening the belly a little bit more. And together, let's connect in with our heart space. Maybe it feels good for you to consciously place a hand there. Bringing your palm to the center of your chest. Just bringing your full awareness to that heart space. Tuning into the front of the heart, the back of the heart. Without judgment or force, just becoming fully aware. Bringing your loving presence and awareness. Feeling the gentle rise and fall underneath your hand. Wherever you are on your journey, whatever inspired you to be here today, just know that you are fully welcomed. And we just invite God's presence to be here fully with us. soften any walls, any rigidity. Any heaviness that we carry, the burdens that we hold. We just ask God to soften those. releasing, just simply by bringing your awareness here. Allows more openness, more capacity for us to hold the divine expression within. Taking in a deep breath together once again. And letting it all go, emptying out every last drop of air. I pray that our hearts be open, that our ears and eyes be clear to see and hear God in everyone and everything. May we receive Luke's message today through our heart space first. And remember that we are always meant to return back to love. So just beginning to slowly reorient yourself back to where your body is in space and time, wiggling the fingers, your toes, maybe taking a light stretch, inviting more conscious movement into the body, and fluttering your eyes open when you feel fully ready, allowing yourself to adjust to the light, coming back into full wakeful awareness.
Thank you, Lindsay. Really needed that one. Somebody in the community gave me this. Since I'm over here slurping, I should tell you. I just like listening to sad songs. I just do. So, it'd be like that sometimes. And that's what I love so much about this community is you guys just let me be who I am, you know, and the most not cliche way, you know. Everybody's authenticity becomes part of their marketing strategy, and you're just dude, enough Brene Brown, she's great, but vulnerability is not something you talk about at the advertising meeting, but you just do it or you don't, you know. And I just appreciate so much over these past couple of years, just the grace and compassion, just to be and share and just be able to, be the fullness of that, you know. Sometimes I got great jokes at the start and sometimes I don't, and you guys are here for it all, and that's awesome, you know. And sometimes I'm hanging out with you guys and you have great jokes and sometimes you don't, and I'm here for it all. And that's awesome, you know. We're all just walking each other home. That's a cliche for the reason, right? So I just wanted to share just a little bit about these past couple of years and what these 2 years have been, and get a sense for kind of where we see this going. But just to kind of give a little bit of a backstory, it's, you know, I'm just going to kind of breeze through a few different chapters really quickly, and if any of them that you feel I'd be curious to learn more about that, let's just have coffee and chat about it. But we moved here, my wife, Lindsay, and my 2 children. We moved here in 2016. 10 years, we'll be celebrating 10 years here in March. And that was the first year that we had tried to start Current. We had a friend move with us from Indiana. And we tried to start at that point in time. It wasn't the right time, so we laid that down, let it go. Through a series of events, and then working at a church in Oceanside in 2019 and leaving that in 2020, we decided to start Current again on the beach, of course, because it's COVID time. And when you move here from the Midwest, there's nothing more rad than like doing church on the beach until you actually do it and realize how much it kind of sucks. It's not great at all. It's fun for a minute, and then you get a couple cool pictures, and that's that. So then, during that time, though, it was really interesting because, I'd worked at this church in Oceanside for a bit, more of like a progressive Christian church, and then I started to just be like, oh, everybody's fundamentalist. Doesn't matter if you're on the right or left. I want something different. I need a different sort of expression. And I feel like during that season, it taught me so much because we started the group, but like these people that kind of knew me from my past life with a movement called The Vineyard, charismatic church movement where everybody wore Hawaiian shirts. Apparently that was the deal. That gave you a better connection to the Holy Spirit, I guess. And so that's why I didn't fit in the group. I couldn't get behind the Hawaiian shirt thing until it was ironic in like 2022 or one, I don't know. So anyways, we met weekly for a year, and during that time, I did my best to try to like do this thing like in a hybrid way. Like people were coming, and again, they'd heard, so we were like trying to do like this like worship music thing, and then like I'd also bring a singing bowl and a statue of a meditating Jesus. So we're trying to like help bridge these two worlds or whatever. And all in all, it just kind of got, everything always is going to lean more towards rigidity, structure, authority. And yeah, brother, but what do you really think about the blood of Jesus? And it always gets back to blood for some reason, And if you don't get down with that, they want to take yours, So decided after a year of doing that, which was interesting because the way that was inspired to me, again, I was still working at this church in Oceanside, and I had a Sunday off, a weekend off that I put in for, requested, or however that worked. And I was invited to Santa Cruz to experience psilocybin for the first time. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to tell my church friends what I'm going to do. But so I went and I did that. And in that experience, I was shown that I was supposed to do something on my own again, like an expression from what I originally came out here to do. And so whenever I started that, I didn't really tell many people that story. I was just kind of like, we're going to be hippies again on the beach like it was in the 70s, even though I wasn't there, but I watched the movie and it's cool. And I grew up with Lonnie Frisbee being like kind of like a saint or whatever. Anyway, that's an insider for some of you. And it wasn't until that next year I realized like things were not working out in 2021, and I decided to Terrence McKenna it to get my next answer. So did that, and I was like, oh, I can see now, I'm not supposed to be doing it in this form. And laid it down, all of it, for a while. And what happened, I guess the funny part of the story is, whenever I saw that I was not supposed to be doing this version of Current anymore, like a week later, I was on a motorcycle ride, and this like mega church pastor in Oceanside was like, do you want to be a campus pastor for us? And I'm like, sure. Very random and out of left field. That lasted about 3 months, and then I was like, I can't survive here. And then my friend came and asked me if I want to be the face of Christian cannabis. I'm like, that seems like a right move. We're going from meditating Jesus on the beach to psilocybin to Pentecostal church to Christian cannabis to, all this. So it's like, did that for a while. That went up and spoke. That joke gets old, but it's there. Went up and smoked. We did some other cool like pop-up stuff or whatever. And I remember walking back. It was in 2022. We were doing a pop-up on Abbott Kinney Boulevard in Venice Beach, which is a very pretentious thing to say. And And we were doing a thing there, and I remember after a week of this pop-up and doing all this stuff, I was walking back from my friend's house to the pop-up, and I was just like, this feels so empty. There's just nothing. It just feels like a show. It feels like spiritual materialism. It just feels like trying to sell people enlightenment. Like, it's just an aesthetic. There's nothing really transformative happening here. So more or less said, yeah, I'm done with this, hung it up, and kind of just became a recluse for a long time. Spent this next year, I'm just kind of like trying to blaze through this part to get to the other thing that I really want to talk about. Hopefully you're picking up what I'm laying down. It's always a roller coaster, you know what I mean? A little rickety in some areas, but we're getting there. Just want to bring up the backstory a little bit for what inspired all of this. And so that fall and then the next year, like, I didn't know really what to do, but the only thing I knew to do was to just like my framework of Christianity coming up of like, serve the least, the last, and the lost. It's like, what do you do? So I just started being deeply involved in homeless ministry, doing that every week, going to Tijuana, taking rescued food down, just like doing the stuff and not putting it on Instagram, just like doing it, You can do that. It's wild. You can actually do things and not post about it. It's crazy. I'm feeling spicy today. Can anybody tell? Scorpio stinger sometimes. It'd be like that. So I feel like during that time, it was so dismal, yet as many dark nights of the soul that you come up, the waves come again, and you get better at surfing, or you drown, whatever you want to do, or you swim back to the beach and whatever, which I was tempted to. I was tempted to go back to Indiana a lot, I moved here from having the whole hallway of my light lit up in front of me. My dad was the pastor at the church. I was the youth pastor at, a position I certainly earned. Yikes. And, had all of that. My wife Lindsay and I, we had a couple kids, lived 10 minutes from both of our parents, nice cars, great health benefits, whole deal. And we decided to move here in 2016 because we were just like, we had this hunch, this nudge, this thing within us that I tell people it's like a beach ball in a pool. If you weren't pushing it down, like, it was popping up. It's like, you need to move to San Diego and do this. And there was a trippy thing that happened. I won't bore you with the story now, in 2013 about coming here, and it took 3 years to get here. And when we came, then like all this stuff was happening, and I was so tempted at some points to be like, should I just like go back? Like, maybe I missed it. Like, things got really difficult and hard and dark for such a long time. That it's like, after a few months, it's like, okay, I get it. But after like 18 months of just like pure, like just dirt under the fingernails, you're like, am I trying to scratch my way into something that's not for me, And then it was towards the end of 2023, I had some dinner with my friend Jordan, actually. And we were talking about stuff, and he suggested, that's how hypnosis works, right? He suggested that maybe I should start Current again or consider that. And I shot that down so hard. It was crazy. I'm like, no, dog. Like, you don't understand. Like, my wife, Lindsay, would be like, no, even. Like, I can't, even if I could, my wife won't let me, Typical excuse at the motorcycle dealership. I'd love to buy the bike. I got a wife. I can't do it, So, and I really just like let that ship sail. And then it was a few months later, kids were on break, and it was just that new year in 2024. And I was sitting in meditation one morning, and the kids were on break. They're doing whatever. Lindsay had just started a job. She was this stay-at-home mom for the whole time that we'd been here in San Diego, and ended up going back into the workforce. And she was in the office that day. And I was just in meditation, just simple sort of mindful meditation, but inviting this sort of like imaginative prayer. There's like this Ignatian way of praying that I've adopted to be like an imaginative prayer, where a lot of times we're trying to release our thoughts, or if a scenario or an image comes up, we want to allow it to float down the stream of consciousness, come back into center ground. But there's also a practice of just following the imagination, playing with it, exploring it. When you get these like, maybe you have this, maybe you don't, I don't know, but there's like the movie screen of the mind, and things start, you can just see it playing out, and different images or scenarios or scenes will come, and Sometimes they're kind of negative, sometimes they're positive, sometimes it's neutral, sometimes you're like, what the hell, like, what sort of weird YouTube algorithms popping up in my mind right now? Like, what's going down, you know? But you just keep following it with this sort of like optimistic hope that the Spirit is trying to show you something through your imagination. It's not something evil or bad or wrong. Now I've learned this is a very Neoplatonist idea of like, yeah, your imagination's actually that line connection to the divine. Like that's, we try to push that away, and Zazen meditation's incredible, but has its place. But you're like, if you want, in my old charismatic world, a word from the Lord, you see it in your mind. You can see it beginning to show up for you, and you can choose to follow that, and it'll morph and evolve. And this thought dropped into my mind of trying current again. Thanks, Jordan. You are such a hypnotist. This thought came into my mind of starting current again. And I knew, like, I riffed the story to you. There's no way or reason that it should work. I was so isolated even too. I didn't have any friends around or nothing, just, monking it up. And like, I just got this vision of like, and this like sort of voice came, and it was just like, snag the kids and walk down to this building and book this space for current. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, that's great. Maybe we'll do that in like September. And immediately I felt like this like overwhelming sensation. And it's funny, after all these iterations of the Holy Spirit encounters, like my ideas about God change, but the feeling of God never has. It's like, man, you can sense that tangible presence of God. It doesn't matter like if you're in a church service or not or whatever. Like realness is real. It doesn't care what sort of cloak you throw over it. You know what I mean? And I recognized it, and immediately came up. It said, book it for the end of the month. Like, that feels like a very short runway. And it was just very strong. It was like, book the last Sunday of the month for January, February, and March. And whenever I was like, it was like just this like participation again that I use this language of like, okay, all right, we'll just do that. Like it's not like me again strategizing with this grand master plan of like, how am I gonna launch again and do I don't know. I'm a human design projector person. I don't really think like that anyway. So like I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just responding to the invitation. Okay, great, I feel invited, let's do it. Walk down here, and they said, yeah, it's available. And I was just like, it was interesting because I learned through coming over here that like the last Sunday of the month in March was Easter Sunday. And I'm like, well, that's convenient. That seems cool. And I just kind of made this like agreement in my heart of like, well, we'll do this for these 3 months. I'm going to book these 3 months. And then if nothing happens or whatever, then it's okay. I'll figure something else out. I mean, I've already tried to be a Medicare agent. What's worse? Like, you might as well do something, you know what I mean? Could you see me sitting down and actually plan C? It's a Medicare Advantage plan. And that actually, if I walk into your grandma's Medicare appointment, don't believe me, because I don't know what I'm doing. So, I don't do that anymore, don't worry. So anyways, come down here, book the space, and it was 2 years ago around this date, the last Sunday in January, and lo and behold, people were here. There was a handful of people here. I don't know how much, like, I can't articulate this in a way that's like fitting, but like, I've done so many things over the years for like nobody shows up or nobody, you know what I mean? It's like it's like crickets or whatever, and then you tell people in your life and they're like, well, the Holy Spirit was there. I'm like, that's nice. How sweet of you. Kind. So we booked this space and showed up, and lo and behold, people were here. And Lindsay was here for the very first one. She and little Maya were here and just dropping in, and we met like new people. And I gotta say this is like, I was setting up and I didn't like have any of the stuff. Rihanna was so kind as to like bring her own sound system, and I just like called some friends and was like, hey, can you do a couple songs? And I talked to another friend, like, hey, can you lead like a meditation? And I'm just gonna kind of like share some story, and we're gonna just try, I don't know, we're just gonna huck it, dude, and figure it out. And so we did that, and I remember at the very beginning, there were two ladies that showed up that knew each other from some other like church world stuff, and they had like found it through Instagram, because that's how everybody finds a space. Let's be honest, right? I won't do by a show of hands, but let's be honest. Instagram, and now it's like word of mouth and stuff. But for that first year or two, it's just like people just find it on the gram, you know? And I saw them, I was standing over here, and I saw them exchanging numbers in like heartfelt conversation. And I swear to God, I was like, we've already won. Whatever success is, like whatever idea of a goal that this is supposed to do, we've won. People are connecting that haven't connected in their case many years before, and sharing life, like in a way, I don't want to say doing life together, because that's a really cheesy, weird church thing. I don't want to do life with anybody else but my wife. I only committed to one person for that job. So, you know, people hanging out together, you know what I mean? And like that are in a space where they feel like a reverberation with each other in some way that's real and true and authentic. And not from the head space, but from a heart space. Because that's something I talk so much about around here, is to be like-hearted. Because to be like-minded, good luck. You go trying to find people I just want to find like-minded people. And don't get me wrong, if you say that or whatever, it's totally cool. I get what you mean. I try to find like-minded people, and then my mind changes, and now they're not my people. And so that's just how it works. So I'm like, I just need to find people where I can feel like there's something here. And we can have differing ideas or whatever, you know, but like the underlying heart space is finding identification in another being. You're just like, yeah, I don't know, but we're on a similar path. I can feel that from you. We're on our own path, of course, but it seems like we're walking in a similar direction, and that feels right. And to create and facilitate a space for that. So I knew we had already won. And I don't play sports, and I don't like the label of coach, and I'm a musician or whatever, but like, so whatever goal we were trying to get to, we had already hit that. Now, just like, okay, we found the key of the song, and we're just gonna kind of play in this key. And the song goes up and down, and I was talking to Vicky at coffee the other day, like I use the language of dance a lot. I'm not a dancer, but the arts, I think, describe the divine much better than sports analogies. That's just me, though. You do you. But for me, it's just like, yeah, like, okay, we're finding the key that we're going to play in. And it was just starting from that space. And so learning what this space is over the past couple of years has been just an interesting experiment for myself. Because it's like, is this space a church? Because I do kind of talk about Jesus, because I'm a pastor's kid, and I was like trained that way and whatever. And it's like, that's very much a part of my conditioning in my life, you know? But I'm in no way trying to make a convert around here or anything like that. And God knows I don't call myself a, quote, Christian in the sense of like what we all think of that today, because it has a lot of assumption and expectation along with it. But I do love the incarnation, the person, and the wisdom that Jesus provides. And in my own experience, it was like the wisdom that just kept coming up and percolating. It was like, I need a space to be able to talk about how powerful this story, this life of this person is, and how it's engaged with my life. And I see the symbolism of that being true. I love a space to be able to articulate that in a way that's honest, non-dogmatic, and pulling from my own life, but not limited to that, you know? And then also a space where it's like, yeah, there's freedom to be able to talk about whatever. So it's kind of like a spiritual community church hybrid thing. We've been figuring it out over the past 2 years. But I got to tell you, for me, it's been like trying to navigate that's been such an interesting thing, you know? Because it's like some Sundays, it's like, it's too Christ-ish, and then some Sundays you're like, dude, give the human design stuff up. What are you talking about, man? It's like, so it's like, where do I fit in it all? And that's why we changed the tagline that it's a spiritual home for mystics and misfits. And it took me, yeah, that's where we're at, man. And it took me a while to get over not seeing like the punk band in my head whenever I said that, though. So took a bit to take the leap because all I saw was that skeleton in there. I'm like, well, that's kind of symbolic too. So we'll use that. But it's like, yeah, I'm a misfit. I don't quite fit anywhere. And something tells me that if you're hanging around this space, it's like, yeah, I don't know exactly where I fit. But there's something here that feels like a connector point. And so we just hold all of that openly. And it's like, is it a church? Depends on who I'm talking to. You know, are you a pastor? I don't know. That depends on who I'm talking to. Is it a spiritual community? Depends. It all depends, because we live in this very alive, fluid, and flexible thing that we call life. And it just depends. The worst question at a party is, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, God, you know. Tell me your background first, you know, and I'll pick which angle we want to go here with this. It was so easy in the insurance days where it was just like, I'm an insurance agent, like, sick. Nobody wants to talk to the insurance guy. My premium's going up again, you know. It's like, just don't tell the underwriter, you know, that your insurance, or, you know, I'm going to get an E&O claim. I should probably stop. Where am I going with some of this? All of this brought us to this point 2 years ago of trying to do something that is experimentation together, that has a sense of honesty and openness to it. Because the truth is, we're all feeling our way through. And I'll land the plane with this, is that this is usually a prime opportunity for some organization to come and be like, we've been here for 2 years and we've accomplished X, Y, Z, and this is where we're setting our sights, and here's the master plan, and we're going to have this many baptisms, and we're going to be in this building, and we're going to be da-da-da-da-da-da, and it's like some big campaign pitch, you know, whatever. And I got to tell you, I'd be lying to you if I wouldn't just be honest and say, I'm feeling my way through it. Just like you. You know, it's like, hey, I am. I'm feeling my way through it. And I've been feeling my way through it the whole way, and I'm going to keep feeling my way through it. And there's no set agenda for where I feel like we should be. Again, I grew up in a very much an environment where it was like, you got to have the next milestone. And it's like, dude, enough of the carrot at the end of the stick. I just want to feel and rest into my wholeness and to be here with other people who are trying to walk this path too. And finding their way. And we're going to be continuing to do this. My intent, my sense, I want to share with you my sense. My sense is this, is that we keep into a place that is of a value system in our heart. And how that looks on the outside is going to look however it looks. I don't really care. I used to be in meetings and it was like, how are we going to get to 250 people by this date? It's all metrics. It's all physicality. It's all, how can we keep people happy who, you know, it's like, dude, the external will manifest itself from the internal. I'm very metaphysical about this. That happens in my own life. My only thing that I really have control over is my inner being and my posture of heart and the position that I place my being into. And that's the only thing I'm inviting anybody else into. And for this space, for this organization or whatever, is like, our posture is we want to continue to experience this mystic expression, this sort of experiential direct connection with the divine. That there's not something external that's waiting for you to be worthy, but rather you are worthy. You were born in the image and likeness of God. You have been given the gift from the minute that you even took incarnation, and before. Who wants to get woo-woo? Every incarnation you've taken has been holy and divine, and we are all in the process of excavating that truth together. And anybody who says they got the keys, they're lying to you. You got the keys. You've had them the whole time. The only thing we're doing is helping each other reach in our own pocket. The pocket's right in here in your heart. Pull out your own keys and start to tune in to what God has to do in and through and as your life. And so how that expresses, we'll see, dude. We'll see. People have asked, do you think you'll be in this space for a lot longer? I don't know. Like, it looks like we got more room. So I think there's more chairs, so if people want to drop in more, great. You know, I'd say the only thing of values, like, we want to create spaces for people to have the realization of that connection and opportunities to be able to share that connection with other people. And that'll grow, that'll shrink. I don't care. I don't have any. I really have had to relinquish the attachment to any of it. I really don't have any attachment to it. And it's been interesting learning even for my own self, like, I'm going to land the plane, I promise. Dear God. But like, sometimes Jesus he'd get these people like following him and it'd be like, hey man, like the band's getting kind of big. What are we going to do? We're going to sign with the record label. What are we doing? And then he'd be like, if you want to kick it with me, like eat my flesh and drink my blood. And they're like, and it says a lot of people dipped. That's the actual translation. A lot of people split. And a few believed and kept following. And that's why even sometimes, like, I don't know, just kind of feeling, it's an interesting feeling. Like, I feel like I should feel like some sort of like raw kind of vibe for 2 years, but I don't know. I'm just kind of I don't know. But it's just like, I'll say far out things. And it's like, I don't know, if you pick up what we're laying down, you pick up what we're laying down, And I've challenged myself in that. Like, if I feel like I'm getting too whatever, I'll be like, I don't know, astrology, ha 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 ha. And then, people are like, I don't like that. Or the other way, it's like, my point is that I'm back to talking about Yeshua, dude, again. But he sits with Nicodemus. Nicodemus is all thinking about, how do I climb back in my mother's womb? And Jesus is like, dude, you analytical weirdo. Like, wherever the Spirit is blowing, like, we're going to follow that. And that's what we're going to keep doing around here. We're going to keep sensing where the Spirit's blowing, and we're going to follow that. I've been doing that, by myself, and then I've been now inviting other people into that. And so as we close, I just want to invite you to, if you've been around this space, if this is your first time, or you've been around here for the last couple of years, or you've been hanging out with me since 2019 and whatever, like, I'd love to hear some of your feedback and some ways that we can continue to expand and grow to serve each other in ways that are meaningful. I never want to do anything that's just because, So, and I need some help. Again, the projector vibe thing. I'm just like, I don't know. Corey Lynn's a manifester, so she comes along and helps me out with things and sorts it all out. I feel like 2 years we're at that point where I'm like, need some help. So, but I'd love your suggestions. If you feel like this is like, man, we used to do this and that was really special, we've not done that in a while, maybe we could do this again. Suggestions, if you want old school, fill out a suggestion card or send me an email or a DM. I want to invite the collective part of this, because where we're going in the future depends on the people that are here in this space. And this is what makes speaking on Sundays kind of interesting, because I can think about stuff and then I get here and then I feel all of you guys and I'm like, I don't know if I should say, I don't. So I want us to continue to walk through this together, if that's helpful. So that's what the past 2 years have been. That's where I see this thing going. And we're just going to keep reflecting on the path, on the first and third, and at retreats and hangouts and dinners and random stuff. Find a friend. I love whenever I find out about people hanging out, and I didn't even know you guys are friends. And they're like, oh yeah, I've been hanging out with this person and hanging out. I'm like, sick. That's great. I don't want to be involved in any of it. Like, just you guys hang out. Like, not in any, you get what I'm saying. Like, it's beautiful when people find real friendship. I'm going to land the plane. Would you mind to stand with me? We're going to pray. Is he still talking? All right. As we close, though, I will say, final, the most important thing is that we do have that interconnection. Because we can come to meetings and we can go to groups and we can hear people talk and we can think our thoughts and all that, but until you have an actual felt experience of what divinity is in you and through you, it's all just rubbish and clutter and mental furniture that you rearrange trying to change the vibe of your own inner life. Until you have that transformative experience in divinity, it's all just kind of clunkiness. So I just want to invite you as we close and leave from this space. It's arguably the most important thing we do. I invite you to hold out your hand like you're receiving a gift, because this moment is a gift. The present moment, the eternal now, the awareness of goodness in this moment, regardless of what is or isn't happening. Turning our mind in tune with God in this moment is a gift. And we do that now here together in a collective energy, in a collective spirit, in accord with each other. But the incredible gift is Christ in you, the hope of glory. And so the Christ, the anointing, the light that is in you, that we would be able to touch on that together now, but then as you move from this place, you have full authority to realize that light anywhere, everywhere, all the time. That's the work of life in the Earth School. So right now, I just invite, God, your presence to increase. We would sense that to be true. Help us to sense who you are in us beneath all of the thoughts of who we think we should be. Thank you for the peace that surpasses understanding. That we can trust in the holy I don't know and still know that we are living in full tune and in full union with your presence in our life. Whatever, God, you have for this space going forward, we just devote it in dedication already to your authority, and that we would be open vessels, that we would be but a flute, that the wind of your Spirit blows through to play whatever song you have. Our job is to stay in tune and to play the song. So be it. Amen. So for 2 years, we've been looking at making awkward eye contact with people and saying what's up to them. We're going to keep that tradition. So if you see somebody that you made awkward eye contact with, say hello to them. If you see somebody that, you haven't seen in a while, say hello. And we got some more stuff on the resource table, yada, yada. You know all of these things. Say hello, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Don't forget the retreat, man. It's coming. So see you in 2 weeks back here for another Sunday service.